Do you know what?
No, what do we have to do, Dwayne?
It's time to jump down that rabbit hole. Let's go! All right, here we are. I wanted to get your thoughts on audiobook readings from Big Finish. How do you go with short trips and audiobook readings, Philip?
Well, Dwayne, I'm not a... It's not that I don't like them, I'm just not a huge fan, and my time is limited, and I actually haven't spent a lot of time digging into the short trips. When they first started coming out years and years ago, because they recorded a few short trips, none of them were done by the Doctor Who actors. I'm trying to think, there's one voice in particular did a lot of them. He was actually quite good, but I just didn't care about them enough. And because funds are limited, I do sometimes draw the line somewhere, and the line I've kind of drawn the line at is the short trips. There was when they were coming out monthly a couple of years ago. I did actually get a number of them because there was a master one which was brilliant. There was a few really bizarre ones that came out and some very interesting takes. And so I did actually get a season or two of the short trips back then. But on the whole, I don't get them. And I know there's a box set that came out, is it right, early in the year?
Yeah, Short Trips 12.
12,
came
I didn't
out,
get it.
half a dozen stories.
So it's not one of the ranges I actually get to listen to. So to my shame and detriment, but I can't do everything. What about you? What do you think about the short trips, Dwayne?
Well, I really love the short trips range because they're short. So if I've got half an hour, 40 minutes to spare, I can throw on a short trip and I get a complete story in that time. So I really like that. I prefer to have some kind of Doctor Who actor connection when it comes to the reading. I'm a little bit more disassociated from it when it's the reader is not associated with the era. So I hear where you're coming from in that regard. Whereas the Companion Chronicles for you are a format for something really experimental. I find the short trips are exactly the same in that regard. You can be very experimental, and they've done some really interesting things with them. So, and it's always nice to get a taste of different writers. So we've been listening to Big Finish for such a long time that we get a sense of the style of different writers. Obviously, there's variation within the writers themselves, the established writers, but when you get someone new, you'll get a really fresh, refreshing look at storytelling that potentially hasn't been done before. And you get that often within the short trips. So, plus short trips at the moment, I think it's the only opportunity you have to get your foot in the door with Big Finish now. So I'll be trying again, Philip, for the how many evereth year in a row that I've been trying. I'll be getting my short trips.
Good luck. I think it's interesting that you make the comment. I think part of the reason why I'm not so keen on short trips is I've been burnt a few times. Right. So because they put a lot of new different writers in there, there's been I've hit some, and not for a long time, admittedly, but I just didn't like them.
Yeah.
So I think having been burnt a few times, that sort of turned me off. But then,
what do you mean by burnt?
Just they were bad stories.
They didn't do it for you.
No, it didn't do it for me. I mean, so there's been great. There have been some great ones. The Jeffrey Beaver's Eye and the Master one, what it was called. I mean, that was brilliant. And so there was
Jacob Dudman, Regeneration Impossible.
Yes, that was another really good one. So there was a year or two there which was really excellent. I'm sure there was someone who took over the short trips. I forget who it was. Was it?
I think it might have been Ian Atkins.
Yes, I
did it for a while.
Yeah, and so he did. He did go very experimental and brought in lots of Doctor Who actors and things. But yeah, I guess my head is still in the original ones that came out years and years ago. Just reading, and they were just reading out of the books.
Yes,
and I just remember, I just wasn't. Yeah, it's as I said, it's a bit like ordering fish at a restaurant. I never order fish when I'm out. I love fish, and whenever it comes, I enjoy it. But I have this mind block. Whenever I see a menu, I just can't order fish. And for me, short trips are just the fish.
Okay. You still love it, but you've got a mental block.
I've got a mental block, and I keep forgetting why I don't like it. And then I listen to one and go, "Oh, I really enjoyed that," but I just don't get them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all right. Each to their own. There is still a place for the short trips, as I said. It's a way to get your foot in the door, and I suspect Max was one of the ones that actually applied for the Paul Spragg opportunity. at some stage. I think he did. He hasn't had one published under that opportunity, but sometimes
Well, he can't
those...
now.
That's right, he can't. You cannot be a published Big Finish author and apply for it. But sometimes they'll take some of the shortlist and they'll develop the stories for other ranges, particularly the 11th Doctor Chronicles. That was a good one for, and even some of the Bernice Summerfield box sets have been new writers as well, which I found. Do you remember that set, Bernice Summerfield Lost in Translation? That was really cool. That was a lot of new writers there. So
Yeah, that's a whole box. It was great.
yeah, I think it's great for a new writers pool. So anyway, that's good. It's nice to get your thoughts on that, Philip. Let's crawl up out of the rabbit hole. If you enjoyed what you heard in this clip from the Sirens of Audio podcast, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss out on another episode from us. And if you want to find out more about us, including our back catalogue of episodes, you can head over to sirensofaudio.com.